This is my garden tour for May 14th, 2020. We'll start outside the gate. My Bubba bush okra are starting to bloom. Of course, the morning glories are going nuts. Lauren's pole bean teepee is taking off. The beans are all the way to the top. Now we're ready for it to start filling out. I have one little pepper that had a setback this week. It got eaten by something, but I have a long growing season, so I'm confident that the peppers will rebound. Let's go in the gate. My Malabar spinach is really taking off. If you notice, the cabbages are gone. I finished those up after the last garden tour. Inevitably, if you wait too long down here, they will get cabbage butterflies. So I wanted to eat them before the cabbage butterfly caterpillars did. My little lilac bell pepper is coming along and blooming. Step through here. And this is my early girl tomato. We started picking on her last week. She is loaded. And we'll pick that one today. Yum. My experimental okra is doing phenomenal. It's just turned into a really nice plant. And the other ones I planted that I started inside and they looked a little leggy, and I thought, I don't know if they're going to be able to have the strength to straighten up, have done great. My garlic. This is my big garlic, my Creole garlic. And this is the garlic that actually came from Sam's. It was grown in Florida, so I thought it might work here. And it's survived, but I can't say it's thrived. So I'm going to give it another year and see what the cloves look like next year. This is my celery. I have been picking and freezing a lot of celery and then dehydrating the leaves, because what I found is, unlike store-bought celery, the leaves on this celery have as much flavor as the stalks. So I have been dehydrating all of my celery leaves and storing them in an airtight container, and then freezing the diced stalks so I can use them later. Here's the full row. This is kind of the best shot of my garden. My tomatoes. I'm still picking and eating kale, putting some up in the freezer. And if you notice, the black tubing, I have been slowly adding irrigation. And I have noticed that things like this celery that was really struggling in the sun, now that it's on the drip irrigation, is really greening up and starting to produce a lot more. So I think the drip irrigation is going to be a really good thing for my garden. Little eggplant. He's struggling a little with flea beetle damage, but the new growth that's coming on looks good. Step across here. And if you notice, in my garden, I use these big logs. I have put them on contour with the slope. There's a slight slope coming from my neighbors. I put them on contour to trap and slow the water as it comes off. And with the heavy mulch and the logs, I have no runoff here. Where when I started this garden last year, this was all pine straw mulch. There was no garden space here because we had to move the fence. And when we had a heavy rain, all that pine straw mulch would just sweep away. So I'm really pleased with the amount of water retention I'm getting between putting the logs on contour, doing pits, like Zari pits that they use in Africa for where I plant some things, and using the heavy mulch. And they're free. Alright, this is my tomato that I cloned from last year by saving a cutting. Should pick those in the next couple weeks. I'm pretty sure that's a Better Boy. Not 100% sure. This is the other one I cloned from last year. I held them over on my sun porch in water. And I'm pretty sure that's a Husky 100. The nice thing about cloning hybrids is you get a true hybrid. It's not that the seed from a hybrid won't reproduce, but it's going to revert back to one of the grandparent plants. But with this, I am cloning, so I am carrying those straight genetics over to the next plant. My sweet peas, I thought they were done, but they're not. They're beautiful. Pink, then I have a purple. Let's see. This, I have this labeled as a Black Russian. I don't think this is a Black Russian. This is looking more like an Amish paste, so this is a surprise. These two right here, they're not looking like Black Russians, so we'll see when they start coloring up. But based on that teardrop shape, everybody else's Black Russians I've seen are big round slicing tomatoes, so I don't know what these are. They're labeled Black Russian. And here is my Arkansas Traveler. And the little tomato, it's coming along. We'll see. I don't know if I'll get any tomatoes off of this. And then these are my yellow pear. Beautiful looking. If you can see that, just beautiful looking fruit. I love that shape. And then amongst them, I still have my marigolds, some Chinese 5 peppers, a little bit of Swiss chard. And this one, for some reason, this particular plant, it's been here the same amount of time as my bigger ones. I'll show you in a minute. And it has just not thrived. And you can tell that the plants that don't seem happy also seem to be the ones, oops, shadow, that get the most bug damage. All right, so let's go up to my brassica bed. Another pepper there. My Swiss chard, it's getting a little holy, struggling a little in the heat. It's doing much better with the water. And this is one of my experimental okras. She's doing okay. An eggplant. This is either a Black Beauty or an Early Girl. I'll have to dig down in the mulch and find the tag to figure that out. And then my kale. The curly leaf kale does not seem to have the problems with the cabbage butterflies that the Lancino does. They seem to prefer it. And under my blueberry, I planted basil because I will use a lot of basil this year. Painting up, this is my blueberry bush. Starting to pick blueberries. I'm not going to have a very good blueberry year this year. You know, this plant has struggled, and I told you I'd tell you the story about my landscape guys. I had lawn people doing my lawn. After I went back to teaching, I thought this is something I can take off my plate and pay somebody else to do. And then when I was home one day, they were spraying everything in my yard, and they were spraying my blueberry bushes because these blueberry bushes put out these little runners. Let's see if I can get over here and show you one. This is a baby blueberry bush coming up, and another one right there. And so they were spraying everything. Well, this is connected to the mother plant. So I just about lost my big blueberry bushes, and I was really upset because they were spraying the good stuff, not spraying the bad stuff, but I didn't want them to be spraying in my yard at all. So I let them go. Can't have that. I don't want my yard sprayed. Another little eggplant. This is my Clemson spineless okra. My second Malabar spinach. She's not running yet, but I think she will. And these are my painted lady runner beans. You see, I'm in a shadow, but we should have our first blooms on those shortly. And it is starting to run down the fence. So this is the big view. And over on this side, I still have a Lancino kale, my Society garlic, my Mr. Stripey back there. And it's just not doing good. I don't know if it's not getting enough sun, but that Mr. Stripey is really struggling. So I have to get out here today and see if I can't figure out what's going on there. And then I'm getting ready to put sweet potatoes. This was a little fallow bed that I need to figure something out. So we're going to plant sweet potatoes back there. And I'm still working on my drip irrigation, just a little bit at a time. It's not pretty, it's not perfect, but it's working. And this is my teardrop shaped bed. My radish is going to seed. I did fertilize this week with the fish emulsion. I felt like everything needed a little boost. And fish emulsion is about the only thing that I fertilize with. I have tried some bone meal this year for the first time, hoping to help my satsuma. It was a little pulpy last year, and I read that that might help. But those are pretty much the only things I'm using other than mulch. All right, so this is a bush bean. They are starting to bloom. And I have lined the path here as my cold weather crops have come out. I'm lining the path here with bush beans. And here is a little bit more Swiss chard that came up in a lettuce blend I threw out here earlier this year, so I'm going to leave it. And on my fennel, I have had some caterpillars, but I don't see any right now. Oh, there he is. I'll show you this swallowtail caterpillar. Y'all, forgive me, I'm still learning how to operate this camera. I don't know if you can see him right there. He's getting big. There are a few other ones on here, and that's the main reason I planted this fennel, was just for the butterflies. And it's just such a beautiful plant. I'm not a big fan of the taste, so I just plant it because it's pretty. My sage is looking good. Another radish I'm letting go to seed. This is my Black Beauty eggplant. It's got its first blossoms. My pimento pepper is also blooming. Another Black Beauty. And these get afternoon sun. They get a little bit of shade here underneath the satsuma tree this time of day, but here shortly they'll be in the sun for the rest of the day. Over there I have my blood red sorrel, which something is just ravaging it right now. But it's kind of to be expected in the heat in southern Alabama. It's a perennial. It will come back from its excuse me. It will come back from its roots this fall. I'm not real worried about it. This is my cucumber. Not had any luck with cucumbers in the past, but this is the first year I've grown in this full space. My prior years, I've only grown in this little section right here that has all the lettuce. And I just had a hard time getting stuff going. It could be because the lawn guys were spraying everything. I don't know. We'll see. But the last 2 years, I have heavily mulched. I have amended my soil with a friend's rabbit manure. And that's about it. So let's see if we can't overcome that. Oh, ground cherries. Yum. Look, this one's ready. I'll take that with me. I don't know if I can do this with one hand. We have 3 of these ground cherry plants, and the kids have discovered them. So if I don't eat them first, I may never get a ground cherry again. I'm very excited about ground cherries. Interesting flavor. And then over here, I planted some more bush beans to edge this row. And my strawberries, and these are my heirloom tomatoes. Like I said, they're in sun now, but they will get full, they're in shade now, they'll get full afternoon sun. And this is my first Chinese 5-color pepper. And I think I've decided that I'm going to dehydrate those and make a pepper powder this year. This is my celery that's in the shade, and it is currently not on the drip irrigation system. but the celery seems to like the shade best. So I will harvest some more of that today and dehydrate the leaves, freeze the stalks. My Okinawan spinach. My butterfly ginger. My Cuban oregano. Well, it's coming along okay. I haven't been out here. I wasn't out here yesterday. So I think at this point, probably today, I'll go ahead and trim this off. It's got such nice leaves down here at the base. It's got plenty to photosynthesize off of. So I will probably trim this end off from here, maybe here, and dehydrate this. We've also planted a little aloe that was struggling in a pot. We'll see how it does, but I've heard that aloe is a good thing to have in your garden. And this side of the fennel plant, I have parsley, more celery, and then my flowers for my pollinators, my fennel. So that is our garden tour for May 14th. I have 2 other garden tours I've actually filmed. Oh, look. Satsumas. I have 2 other garden tours I've actually filmed, but you know, I'm very new to this process and I can't seem to get the video edited right and get it on YouTube. So I thought I would go ahead and film this one straight through. It may not be perfect, but it'll be there. So if you have any questions, if you're interested in growing perennial vegetables, because that's where my first love is, let me know. And let's give you a full shot of my garden, how it's coming along this year. It's been a very exciting year in my garden. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.